excited that you could be here because today we are talking about franchising. We're talking about how you can actually start a franchise business, which is going to be probably way easier than trying to launch any kind of non-franchise business if you have the roadmap. And we are actually going to do that today, give you the blueprint to success. And with us to have this conversation is Eddie Rodriguez. Now, he is a CFC in about 30 plus years successful serial entrepreneur and has been a certified franchise consultant for over 15 years now. Eddie is the founder CEO of the Franchise Tailor, a franchise consulting group that helps people find their best next life via franchise ownership. Now, Eddie's also an esteemed member of the Forbes Coaches Council and has helped hundreds of people find their best fit franchise to build their next life via franchising. Eddie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ty. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited that you could be here because we've never had this topic before on the show. I don't know why we haven't. But let's start there. There's people that buy existing businesses. There's people that build new businesses, and there's people that buy franchises. So, why a franchise?
Well, there's many reasons, but probably the biggest differentiator between you and I coming up with an idea and starting something from scratch and investing in a franchise is that franchise has already been established. Someone's already created that business, perfected it. It's even validated. There are other owners currently operating the business. So as a potential investor, you get to talk to those other owners to ask them, how's it gone for you? Would you invest in the franchise again? So the discovery process of learning how to start a franchise provides the potential investor with a truckload of information for them to make their decision. The other big differentiator is they come with tremendous support, technology support, marketing support, operations support. So I often like to say that you're in business for yourself in your market, but not by yourself. It's a much smoother transition, for example, for people that have been in corporate America for a long time, have dreamed of owning their own business, but don't really know how to get started. Investing in a franchise comes with a template for success. They mitigate risk because in general, they're far more successful than startups. Only about 17% of startups are still around 2 years later, where over 80% of franchises is still around 8+ years later. So that's really the most important reasons for people to consider franchise ownership versus startups.
So when you look at a franchise, for example, give me an idea. I mean, how does a franchise really work?
Yeah, they're a system. They really are a system. To that extent, the most successful franchise owners in America are military veterans. Military veterans are taught to follow system. So people that want to do and run their business as they see fit, they shouldn't look at franchises. Franchise systems are established brands. They come with systems manuals, operating manuals. They literally provide you with a template to success based on already validated operating businesses in the market. So you come and train with them, where they might be headquartered in Tampa or in Charlotte, North Carolina. You train, you come back with all these manuals, and then you have a toll-free number where you can reach out to the director of marketing or technology or operations or the founder with any questions you may have, any concerns, any support you might need. So it truly is almost a partnership between the franchise owner and the franchisor. And they are motivated to help you succeed because part of the operating cost of building a franchise business is royalties that you pay to the franchise company on a monthly basis based on your sales. Now, you get value for that because of all the support that comes along. But hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I want to dive a little bit more into the pay part and royalties. But before we do, you help a lot of people transition into this. So why do you find that people choose this over other options, right? I mean, if I'm retiring and I've got extra time, I might go into real estate. There's a million things I could put my money into. Why do you really like and recommend franchising as a way to invest over other kind of investment options?
Yeah, first, it does truly mitigate risk. because a vast, far greater of them are more successful than startup businesses. Number two, for example, you brought up a retired person, but they're a little bored, right? But they don't want a 40 to 80 hour work week. There are many really wonderful, very successful franchises where you can be either a passive investor or a semi-absentee owner, where you buy the franchise and maybe you hire a manager to run the day-to-day operations, reporting to you as the CEO. So as a semi-retired person, you can still go play golf or go fishing or whatever you love to do while you're building equity and wealth in your franchise. You do a startup and it's blood, sweat, and tears for quite a while. And you learn as you go, right? No matter what your experience and skill set is. With a franchise, you truly are given a book that if you follow those protocols and you reach out to the company for any roadblocks, your path to success is far greater.
You mentioned a little bit about royalties, and I want to dive into that a little bit, but I would think the barrier on why everybody doesn't jump into a franchise is the startup cost. And I dabble a little bit and look online. You know, I read Entrepreneur. An Entrepreneur now, the whole, as you know, like the whole part of their magazine now is all about franchises and opportunities. And it's interesting because it's such a wild array of startup capital that you need. So what do you find? I mean, if I'm coming to you to find a franchise to invest in, is there an idea of money I should have set aside to be able to jump into that? Or is it just vary too much depending on the type of franchise that I'm going to try to get?
Good, very good question. The franchise industry is huge. If you Google franchising, you might get a migraine headache because of the ridiculous amount of information that's out there. What we do, people like me that are experienced certified franchise consultants, our primary job is to listen to you, to understand what makes you tick, what you might be passionate about. How can we match not only your skill set, but channel your experience into something that might bring you joy as well as wealth, and also in your market? There are certain sectors and industries that do better, let's say in Tampa or where I live in Miami, than maybe in Albany, New York, and other franchises in our system, in our portfolio, that might be better suited for Albany, New York than in South Florida. I'm affiliated. I'm a partner with a very large group, the most respected in the industry. It's called IFPG, International Franchise Professionals Group. We have over 540 of the best franchise brands in America in our portfolio. So what I do is listen carefully to what people want, and as importantly, what they don't want to do. Do you want to be semi-absentee? Do you want to be in the wellness industry? What do you want to do when you wake up in the morning? And usually what I do, if I'm doing my job well, is introduce people to maybe 5 at most for them to compare and contrast. They'll make sense because now I've gathered a ton of information on all of my clients to understand what might be a best fit. And then the process continues into discovery, and we stay on as advisors and coaches to make sure that people follow the right path before they make a decision.
So what factors do you really look at to determine which franchise might be the best? I imagine how active I want to be in it, maybe how much money I have to invest in it. What things do you really look at to kind of say, okay, these are the 5 of 500 plus that would probably be the best for you?
Yeah, people are motivated by different things, Ty. You know, whether it's, I had a guy yesterday that told me he was in the oil and gas industry in Texas for many years. He's tired of all the travel and 60-hour work weeks and having to meet budgets and sales. And what he told me is, so I said, what do you want to do? And he said, I really want to give back to my community and feel like I can make money at something where I feel a greater sense of purpose in what I do. So when we dug a little deeper, it really was more about wellness and people's health. And then I keep digging deeper. At the end of the day, everyone's criteria is different. You know, like right now, we're working with a lot of younger, you know, clients that got laid off by the tech sector. The tech sector over the last 6 months has laid off about 60,000 people. So these people are young and want to be owner operators and have no problem working 50, 70 hours a week. because they're in the midst of building up their nest egg, so to speak. Then there's the retired person that you brought up. Might be a private equity group that I work with that is sick and tired of seeing how the stock market is inconsistent and up and down, and they suffered with it last year. And so they've decided, let's look at franchise investing as an opportunity. So I often like to say that my clients are like the old Forrest Gump movie when he says, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I feel the same way about my clients. Each one is motivated differently. And so when we do our job well, is when we can channel what they want to do, what they're passionate about. People often ask me, okay, what's the hottest franchise? And the truth is there's no such thing. There's hot industries and sectors, right, that we know are trending very well. But once you invest in a franchise and you bring it back to your market, what I tell all my clients, it's up to you. They're going to give you a book. If you follow that book, your chances of succeeding are great. If you don't, you will fail. So I tailor every discussion and every research that I do on my clients' behalf based on their lifestyle goals, short-term and long-term. Do they want a legacy business for their kids? What kind of return on investment are they looking for? And how many hours per week do they want to devote on building this business? Plus a number of other factors. And then I find what I call an investment comfort range, meaning, Ty, if I were to find you the perfect business or one came knocking on your door tomorrow, what could or would you be willing to invest in that business? And so we stay very focused on all our clients' needs and realities. You know, one McDonald's franchise sets people back about $1.5 million nowadays. One store. So the cost is important. I listen carefully to my clients and said, listen, I'm only willing or able to invest X amount, and I stay in that lane.
So I like Mickey D's. I don't eat it, but I like their brand. That's good. So let's say I want to launch a Mickey D's, but I don't have 1.5. Like, do you help, or does the franchise company itself have some kind of financing where I can come in with less than 1.5? In this example, we all understand that some of them are tens of thousands, some of them are millions that we need, right? There's a huge wide range. I'm just picking the example, the topic we're on. But if I need $1.5 million, I don't have $1.5 million. Let's say I have 400 grand. Then is there a way to get financing for the rest?
Yeah, there is. As a professional courtesy, our group works with highly reputable franchise funding experts. That what I always do with my clients is talk to one of them. They will do a cost of capital analysis for you. So let's say that you have enough liquid capital or your own means to be able to buy into a franchise. It might set you back over a 12-month period, $500,000. Let's take something less expensive than McDonald's or McDonald's. These franchise funding experts will provide you with a thorough analysis of what your options are, whether it's an SBA loan. By the way, the SBA loves franchises because they're all registered businesses that are already operating. They're registered with the Federal Trade Commission, and lenders like that. They don't really look too highly on me walking into a bank and go, hey, I've got a great idea for the next great coffee shop. Much tougher loan. So the answer to your question is the franchise companies, some provide in-house financing. If you work with a good consultant experience like myself, you will be introduced to at least 2 franchise funding groups that can provide you with options on how you can finance your new business.
What about questions to ask? If I'm meeting with you, if I'm considering a franchise, what questions should I be thinking through that are important that I might not think about if you're someone like you who's not here to advise?
Yeah. I send a document attached to a simple questionnaire to my clients called the Business Matrix document. What it does is it divulges to my clients the 4 different types of franchise ownership and in bullet point format, what each one requires. The reason for that is often many people come into a process with me kind of knowing what they don't want to do, but not really knowing what they do want to do. They don't know, right? So they know what they don't want to do. So I follow a process starting with that document that I send to draw people out, for them to look hard in the mirror and go, what do I want to do? What's going to give me the most joy to wake up in the morning and build that business? Like, I work with people that tell me sports. I love sports. Can you have any franchises in that industry? And we do. Or people like my oil and gas guy that wanted a wellness health business. So that's what we focus on. The questions really are more motivated by what your own goals are, which is a question to ask me is, Eddie, typical franchise, from a cash flowing point of view. And am I looking to 6 months, 1 year, 18 months to cash flow, to what kind of return on investment? Questions that make more sense in a general, broader sense than to be very specific. Because I would assume, and I do all the time, that clients come to me in my office because they want to make more money, whether it's to replace their job and own a business, or what I call a side hustle, a second income stream by investing in a franchise. So if their focus is on that, I'm going to invest some hard-earned money to make some more money, then if you work with an experienced consultant like myself, allow them to truly understand what might be a best fit for you based on all the factors that I've already mentioned to you. Channeling your skill set. Some people tell me I hate sales, right? I don't like cold calling. Or other people say I really stink at administrative or financing kind of functions. I want to invest in a business where I can be more the business development guy. And that's it. So we tailor what we show our clients based on a number of factors, all those that I've mentioned: skill set, their passion, their investment comfort level, their market, what's trending. So a lot of factors. So endless questions. My best advice is go to the website of any good certified franchise consultant like me. There's a lot of good information there to prepare people to understand truly how franchise systems work.
Which, by the way, your website is thefranchisetailor.com. That's TAILOR, thefranchisetailor.com. Tons of great info there for everybody watching and listening, so you can get more insight from what we're just talking about in this interview. That being said, I know there is no average. There is no normal. But that being said, is it possible to get your money back that you put in within a year, 2 years, 3 years? I mean, is that practical expectation? Or do you typically see that it takes people way longer than that to get back whatever they initially put in?
We have franchises in our portfolio where you get your return on investment in 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
So that depends on the franchise, on the system, on their model, how it works. So every franchise is unique. Every model is unique. Every franchisor operates uniquely. And if I have someone that contacts me and their main goal is, I need to cash flow quickly if I'm going to put all this money into a franchise, and one of the questions that I pursue in the consultation call with my clients is, what do you expect to make year 1, 2, and 3, or what do you need to make in year 1, 2, and 3 if you invest in a business? And then we work backwards to that return on investment. If they tell me I need to cash flow right away, I focus on those franchise brands in the portfolio that have a record of quick cash flowing.
You talked earlier about how the franchise makes its money, the main company. What are the typical, there's not typical costs, but what kind of cost, fees, things like that are we thinking about? Not even on the dollar amount, but how does it work with franchising where we're paying back for that training, that supervision, us not being on an island doing this alone? Like, what's involved with that? How's the structure work?
Yeah, great question. There are actually three different costs associated with investing in a franchise. The first one is called the franchise fee. That fee is what grants you the exclusive right to operate that brand, the business, all its intellectual property. You get all the support. You essentially become a partner in that business. I can say that generally that one-time franchise fee for the life of the franchise agreement, somewhere between $40,000 to $60,000. That's a typical franchise fee. Some are a little less, very few more than $70,000, $60,000. But then you have to train and get ready until you launch your business. As with any business, you're going to have operating costs. So those operating costs over a 12-month year, depending on the business. Some are lower cost models to operate, but I always tell people that on the low side to consider franchise opportunities, you're looking at a total investment on the low side of about $100,000 to $120,000. We have franchises in our system that require investments upward of $3 million. So, but that's a very important question that I ask my clients. You're not interviewing for a job with me. I'm trying to help you find a best fit franchise based on what you want to do, but also what's real. How you have X amount of liquid capital and maybe retirement funds and other investments. Let's really realistically look at what you could or would be willing to invest to start your new business. And that's when I introduce them to these franchise financing groups. But we have many, many franchises in our portfolio, many of which I love. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've created and built 4 businesses in my lifetime. Who doesn't want quick cash flowing, get your ROI as quickly as possible? We have many of those in our portfolio. And then we have really great franchises that are a longer play, but they're bigger businesses. And if you're willing to hang in there for 15 to 18 months, the payoff is sweet.
Any advice, or is it possible to be able to increase or maximize profits within the franchise? Obviously, I'm a military guy, so obviously following the system to a T makes perfect sense to me, right? But then I think about, like little gumball machines. I don't think they're around anymore. Me, I'm showing my age here, right? You put quarters into it, stuff comes out, whatever it may be. I'm just making stuff up. But an ATM machine, there's all kinds of stuff that you could pay money and have put in place to maximize profit, right? Like storage units, like sell packaging supplies, and people that buy storage facilities add that as an add-on service. Most people don't have that. It increases profitability. Or maybe they advertise the franchise because it's McDonald's, but maybe I can do some of my own advertising. Is there any additional stuff? Is there a way to maximize profits within the franchise besides just following their system?
Yeah, most franchise groups, as long as you don't tarnish the brand, you're marketing the service or product that you signed up for, will work with you. And if, for example, if you have a gym, for example, let's say you invest in a franchise group that's a really good fitness franchise, but you want to be able to sell CBD products because a lot of your clients have little aches and pains, they work out and so you want to be able to sell some CBD products in the studio. As long as you inform the franchise group, this is what I intend, it brings added value to the business, they'll work with you. What you can't do is all of a sudden utilize that franchise's intellectual property and all they've provided you to do something completely different or, God forbid, competitive, at the same time, because they will take the franchise back. When you sign a franchise agreement, it basically states, what it is you're investing in. Within reason, they will work with you to add additional value and maximize profits. But the most profitable, even with McDonald's, I know we keep going back to that household name, right? I know they're really expensive to open. There are top performers, McDonald's franchisees, next level performers, middle of the pack, people that aren't doing so well. Why? Same brand, same menu, same, household brand. So the maximizing profits has to do more with how you build and market your business in your market than anything the franchisor can really do. Or else everyone would be doing the same amount of sales. And that's not the case at all.
What about after I do take over? So I come in, I go to US80, find this per franchise. You're like, here it is, Ty McDonald's is right for you. And I'm like, yes, okay. So I do the agreements, get everything done. what can I expect? What's a typical, if there is a typical, what does it look like after I'm done and to be able to launch this thing? Like, what's that process look like?
Yeah, the typical process with a franchise is after you've made your decision to move forward with one of them, they do an onboarding with you, meaning they plot a schedule, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then you go to training wherever that franchise is based. You'll meet the team that's going to support you and help you. They will devise and teach you what a proper launch process of your business is, what you need to do prior to that. Year one, the franchise companies invest a lot of money in the franchisee. Why? Not out of the kindness of their heart. They invest all that money because the more you succeed, the more they do. Why? That royalty, which is usually somewhere between 5 and 8%, some are a little less, some are a little more, but that's a good range that you have to pay them every month based on sales. The more you sell, the more you make. The more you sell, the more they make. So year one, they invest a lot of money in you. So to answer your question, if you are truly engaged in the training process and following those protocols, franchisees are very prepared to launch their business. They'll know exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it, because they're going to be trained on how to do that. That's a significant difference between a startup. I've done startups, and as experienced as you might be in what you do, when you start up a business, inevitably you're going to hit roadblocks and things that you thought were going to work didn't work that well. Well, here you have people that have already established that, perfected it. So if you hit a new roadblock that's not in that manual, you pick up the phone and you call, and most likely you will get good advice on how to overcome that new roadblock. So hope that is helpful.
Yeah, very much so. Speaking of helpful, franchise consultant, give us an idea. You've helped us a lot with understanding a little bit of what you do and how you help. But from your perspective, like, why would somebody even think about trying to take this on without a consult? That doesn't even make any sense to me. So give me an idea of the benefits that you provide in helping people through this process.
Well, that's an awesome question, because I sometimes get on the phone with a client and go, why should I work with you? And I go, okay, I'll tell you why. Number one, go ahead and do it yourself. Go to entrepreneur.com, franchise.com, and good luck. You're going to swim in a massive Pacific Atlantic ocean of information that you have no idea, where to go with that. Further to that, if you work with a certified franchise consultant that's highly experienced with a vast portfolio of opportunities, they are going to listen to what might be a best fit for you. They literally navigate that vast ocean for you because they are experienced. And guess what? You're going to get all this comprehensive experience and service at no fee to you. We are paid much like a real estate broker, where you go out to buy a new home and you fall in love with one and you and the seller come to terms. You're the buyer. You don't pay the real estate brokerage fee. The seller does. The analogy with us is consultants get paid when you decide to move forward with a franchise. Is if I've made that introduction to the franchise group, then they pay us a predetermined referral fee for the introduction. So why would you not want to work with an expert free of charge to help you at least determine a group of franchise ideas based on lots of information so that you don't have to do a thing? It's mind-boggling to me, people that don't work with a franchise consultant to explore franchises.
Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't make any sense to me either. Eddie, great conversation today. Where can everybody go? Because we just scratched the surface here. Where can everybody go to learn more, get more information about working with you or diving into the franchise industry?
Thank you. As you said before, the franchise Tailor, PAILOR.com. Email me, Eddie, EDDIE, at thefranchisetailor.com. Happy to have a no-charge consultation fee to explain what I've done here today in Cliff Notes version. Oh, there's a word that many of your callers might not know, Cliff Notes, but showing my age there for a minute. but I can give them a quick tutorial on what the process is to exploring franchise opportunities. And they can choose to work with me or somebody else, but I will give them strong advice to not do it on their own. I had a family member, do it on his own about 7 years ago. He made a giant mistake and lost over $400,000 of his hard-earned money because he was not properly guided on what to do, what to look for, how to approach it. So my best advice, whether it's working with me or anybody with my experience, don't miss up that opportunity.
Eddie, thanks again for coming on with us today.
Thank you, Ty. I really enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
All right, so listen, you're listening and watching this. This is a heck of an opportunity. The reality is the vast majority of startups fail. It's an uphill battle. It's tons and tons of time, tons and tons of money committed to something that typically won't work. I mean, that's the reality. I know as much as you believe it will, most of the time it doesn't work out. That's it. And even if you launch the business, a lot of businesses don't last very long. They don't have a proven track history. You go to acquire a business, good luck. You need my buddy bought a business. He $600,000 is what he spent out of his pocket, not even including the SBA funding. So a lot of times it's a lot of money involved. But he would tell you of the 2-year search he went through to even find one with back talking to sellers, finance it. It's a nightmare. I mean, so the easiest path really is franchising. And that's just not my opinion. I mean, if you look at Entrepreneur Magazine, there's a reason now a third of their entire magazine is just about franchising. I think a lot of us see this as the future to be able to probably get into business with the greatest success probability and the easiest path to success. Not saying it's going to be easy, but it's easier than these other routes from what I think. But it's like Eddie said, how the heck could you even think about trying to do this on your own? Like I read those things in Entrepreneur Magazine. It's so overwhelming and confusing. I read maybe 7 pages and then Eddie reads all the pages. I don't read all the pages. I read like 7 pages of the franchise. And I'm like, I can't even do this. Like the details are so overwhelming they provide on every single one. And man, you're going to make the wrong choice. I don't even see how you could. Of the thousands of franchises that are out there, how could you even try to possibly on your own find the exact one? And if you don't, which you probably won't, then the problem is like, what do you do then? Then you're so invested with massive amounts of capital and time into something that you just got into the wrong one to begin with. This is what's nice about Franchise Tailor. What they do is they help you through this. You don't have to pay anything for it. Like it's not a free service. They get paid a referral from the people that they actually refer you to be able to set up the franchise. But their service of helping you through the consultation costs you nothing. They even help you with at post-launch too. They're like somebody that's there to be an assistant to you to finding the right franchise for your business and even providing you some guidance throughout that process. And if you go to franchisetailor.com, there's a lot of stuff here. You can read about the actual process of buying franchises. You can see exactly more information about them, the glossary of terms that are out in the franchise space. You can even go through their blog, which has more info than you're going to find anywhere else, probably even an entrepreneur, about franchises and the kind of stuff you need to know to invest. So check it out, thefranchisetailor.com. That's the Franchise Tailor, Tailor. My niece's named Taylor, so I feel obsessed with spelling out Taylor so people don't get it wrong. So the franchisetailor.com, make sure you check it out right now. Everything you need to know about franchising is there. And then I'm also going to put Eddie's email, which is eddie@thefranchisetailor.com. You can also meet with Eddie and get your questions answered and start the ball rolling with seeing if a franchise is right for you and which franchise is the best one for you. So check it all out. It's all happening right now at thefranchisetailor.com.